Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
I am your host, Dr. Rosie Milligan, coming to you live. You know how we do it every week. It's nothing but straight talk around here. My co-hosts are the wonderful Mr. AI man, Mr. Keith Swanson. He's live and in person, folks. He's really not AI. He is for real. Good morning, Keith.
I am real as long as until the net actually accepts my uploads. Okay.
Wow. How you doing today in this hot, sunny weather?
I'm enjoying it because I know after this it's going to get a lot cooler. So let's say make hay while the sun shines.
I know. I have a wonderful guest, a longtime friend of mine. He's none other than attorney Emil Brown. He's the owner of South Bay Law Center in Compton, California. Yes, he's straight out of Compton, you guys. He deals with business, law, criminal defense, and estate planning. And today, I tell you, it's such a timely topic that we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about criminal record expungement. Can change the lives of many. So our topic is criminal record expungement, a life changer for many. Folks, it is so important to give people a second chance. That's really what we're talking about. Some people who were given a second chance really shouldn't have been a possibility incarcerated in the first place. But however, you know how it goes. Sometimes you don't have enough money, you weren't born on the right side of the track, and many other things. You can find yourself in die-hard circumstance. And sometimes when people are young, they just do, I won't even say foolish stuff. I say they do young stuff. Stuff that young people do. Things that they have no idea can cause them behind bars, can ruin their life forever. So I'm just thrilled today to know that we have someone in our community who's willing to stand up and fight and to say, yes, there are people who need a second chance. Folks, we have some of the finest minds that's locked out of the system, that's locked out of jobs, who are computer savvy, just brilliant people. So it's time that we take a real look at that. So good morning, Attorney Brown. How are you? And thanks for being with us.
I am well. Thank you so much for that introduction, number one. Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss with your audience this important topic, and thank you so much for being such a voice for the community. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I just thank you, and it's the mission that we really need to be on.
So can you just explain to first of all, expungement meaning what?
Surely. Thank you. Well, as we know and as we've discussed, there are many people in our communities who have experienced the criminal justice system. We are faced with a lot of members of the community who have gone through and received misdemeanor charges and felony charges, which follow them throughout their lives. Expungement is a process where you file a motion or petition with the court where your conviction for that alleged crime transpired, and you request the judge to reopen your case and set aside the conviction and ask the court to dismiss the case. If that process, if the judge approves the petition, you're no longer considered convicted of the crime. So you can legally say, I have no convictions for the felony or the misdemeanor. Why that's so important is that it allows you to put on a job application or a petition or an application for a professional license that you no longer have been convicted or you have no convictions for a crime. So it's a fresh start for many in our communities who have whether one or multiple convictions on their record, which is almost like a weight that they carry where they don't feel they can get a job, they can't apply for a professional license. So it can be a fresh start.
Well, some people think that when you talk about expungement, because I've heard people in the community, they talk about, well, you can get your record expunged if you did something before you turn 18. There's so many misconceptions about expungement in our community. They think it's just for juvenile to seal their record. I think they get it twisted with sealing the juvenile record. Maybe expungement is expungement, whether it's a juvenile or adult. So,
yes.
Is it the same?
Well, juvenile, in general, juvenile criminal cases can be sealed and not viewed by the general public for convictions, and even that's for even employers. However, there are certain crimes which are considered strikes. We've heard about that, which as a juvenile, it still carries into your adulthood. So if you have a robbery conviction or some sex crime convictions, they will be viewable and will be on your record even if you committed those crimes or were convicted of committing those crimes before you were 18. So your juvenile record can carry through to your adulthood. In general, if you have, now you can have your juvenile record sealed. And for some young folks that even if it's not a strikeable offense, it can be generally not reviewed, but you can have your juvenile record sealed. If it is a strike offense, then you may want to seek expungement.
Okay.
Because, yes, if a person has a juvenile strike and then they catch a case which is also a strike when they're adults after they're 18, that second strike will be counted in their sentencing if they're convicted of it. So having an expungement does allow you to say, I have not been convicted. However, a judge will, even though it is dismissed, a judge will be able to see your record and can apply that when if you're convicted as an adult. So even then, it still does follow you. So, but for employers, it's not viewable. And once you get expunged, it does clean your record.
Okay, so the judge can look back at it. In other words, the most important thing is that when people go for a job and they're turned down because they've had a conviction. So I think the most important thing that it stops from locking the people out of the system. So that's what I think is urgent. But what I find that when you start talking about these things, you have a lot of people who really should be applying for expungement, but they're listening to the people on the street corner. Oh man, you can't do this because I tried to do this, and they telling half of the story. So my suggestion to anyone out there, to parents, to anyone who's listening, don't turn yourself down. I mean, what do you have to lose by going at least trying to do something that can change your life, your family's life, your children's life? Because when you're caught up in these situations, it doesn't just impact one person. the whole family's impacted. 'Cause number one, you laying on mama's couch because you can't get a job. Or your wife is pulling the load because you can't get a job. So it's not just you being impacted. So get up and go and seek expungement so you can get your life back on track.
And Dr. Rosie, there have been times when I have said it's not just the fact that you're saddled with the thoughts of I can't get a job, but it's a mental shackle. We have we deal with issues within our mind. So if I have 2 felonies, I have a different mental attitude. I'm already thinking if I've served some time, I already have a mentality of somebody's has to tell me what to do. A lot of men and women in our community have the thoughts in their head, well, it gives you the thought that I'm not worth XYZ because I've got a felony. And we see that a lot of important people have been convicted of felonies.
Absolutely.
Okay? There are people in the news today who are running for public office who have been convicted of felonies. So it's a mindset that we can remove. If I feel in my mind like I've got a weight dragging me down, but I release that weight, it gives me a different mindset. It allows me to think in a positive manner rather than a negative manner. And that's what we have to get healing in our communities. If you have 100 people in a neighborhood, in a 5-block radius, who all have felonies, and they're all thinking, well, I can't get a job, so what am I going to go out there and do? Then you have a mindset in that area of I can't, as compared to you get cleaned up and like, well, hey, maybe I can apply for a job at this store or at this warehouse. And if they ask me, man, aren't you the guy that had that? No, I don't have a conviction on my record. And that's a mental freedom that our community needs. We need that badly.
That's big. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to take a caller. We have 2 callers on hold. A friend of mine in Texas, their church, she said they had a judge and some attorneys that came to that church, and they talked about the expungement. And out of that activity, I understand over 500 people in that community and surrounding got expungement. Now, that's big. And I thought about that. I said, now, how many people sitting right up in these congregations side by side with us and need that opportunity but don't know about it? So I think it's a good platform, man, really, that I hope other churches will take note of that so you can help your members. Because I think when people understand, and I'm going to come back and have you to talk about how small things can be that be considered a felon. Because when you think of a felon, you think of someone that you need to run and hide. If they're on one side of the street, you need to cross on the other one. Because people have no idea how minimal things can be that can be considered a felon. So I want you to put a pin in that, and we're going to talk about some of those things that can be charged as a felony. But right now, we're going to take a call. Caller, go ahead. Give us your name, where you calling from. Caller, go ahead.
Caller.
Okay. Maybe the callers just want to listen. We have 2 callers on hold.
Well, I don't. I was waiting for the other caller. This is Keith in Los Angeles. How's it going?
Okay, Keith.
Go ahead, Keith.
Your friendly neighborhood Republican.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay. Okay.
Anyway,
Republican.
Go to weigh in, Republican.
I want to point out a quick observation. When you guys were talking about felonies and so forth, we changed the law. Everybody voted in California. They made certain things felonies that weren't. Well, what is it? They lessened some things that were felonies and made it lesser misdemeanors. That's what the people voted for. So, And you know, Kamala Harris, of course, she prosecuted a lot of black, a lot.
All right. Okay.
Okay,
Let's
so
let's
my
stick
point
to
is,
the subject.
all right, it's my point. My point is this: you know, people are people are forgiving, and when I say that, I'm saying because if you think about it, okay, Trump was convicted of quite a few. He's had felonies there. He's running for president. If you can run for president with a felony, why should you be able to do anything else? Getting jobs with a felony.
That's the attitude that my guests and a whole bunch of people are trying to change, especially since the fentanyl crisis has happened, and so many so-called palm-colored people have gotten felonies and stuff like that. So the attitude has shifted. So it's not just a black thing or a criminal thing. Now they have to put these people back to work. So the attitude of expungement has changed. So it's a win in our favor.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Emil, go ahead, real quick, and then Emil, we're gonna let Emil respond.
No, I'm just saying that sounds good. I mean, it sounds like things are improving. We need to acknowledge when things are improving, and I think
exactly.
Like I said, they're forgiving. People forgive. Just
it's forgiving, but also it's more about business because you have so many with the fentanyl crisis. You got millions of white men that have records because they've been on these drugs and stuff like that. So you're going to have a labor shortage. So you have to do something. So it's forgiveness. Forgiveness is also business. Yeah. So, but it works in our favor.
The law always changes when other people start doing stuff. That's what happened with the cocaine and the rock and all this kind of stuff. When other people started getting convicted of it, all of a sudden, you can have a little bit now. Okay, so we know the rule for that.
Yeah. When white folks get the flu, things do change. But Emil, can you expound upon that? Is that true that things have shifted, or is this something that you have seen?
Well, I think that that has we've seen some evidence of that. For our purposes, I can tell you this. I think what we really need to do is a change of our attitudes because, and when I say that, it's because when you have the opportunity to change the mindset, because that's what you're looking at. That's what we're talking about, is changing the mindset. And if we're talking really, we're talking about changing the mindset of our people. Because sometimes, and what I'm talking about is if I have a felony, sometimes I'm embarrassed to go to church with mama. Okay, I'm embarrassed to go and do certain things, public events, and as a parent, the mama or grandmama may be embarrassed. Well, I'm bringing my nephew or my son and to this event. And when I say a mental shackle, these are shackles that we have to remove. We have to change the mindset of, no, my son, I'm not a criminal anymore. Okay. I'm not convicted of a crime anymore. So we have to change our mindsets. And I worry about the society's changing, but I think with this, we have the opportunity to experience a change, a shift in our communities. If you have in a community, one church, as Dr. Rosie mentioned, we had 500 people apply in one sitting. Imagine that in just the area of Manchester where Dr. Rosie's office is. If you get 5,000 people who get expungements, who never now have the mindset of, I'm not a criminal. Yeah. I am freed of certain things. I don't have the mentality of, well, I don't want to go around my mama's friends because they think I'm a burglar or a robber or what have you. No. When the case is dismissed, I'll give you an example. If I get charged with a crime and the police report says one thing, the district attorney starts filing the case, and they get evidence that exonerates me or shows that I'm not the person who did the act. The DA can then dismiss the case before it goes to trial. Well, this is similar in that the judge then dismisses the case even after the conviction. So I can say, no, I now have a different mindset, a completely different mindset. So it's a matter of us now looking at we can get a fresh start with in life. And I think that's the important point we have to get out to our communities. You can get a fresh start. Yeah.
So Let me give the number out one more time, Keith.
Okay, go ahead.
310-928-7733. You can call us here, speak to Attorney Emil Brown. He's an attorney, owner of the South Bay Law Center in Compton, California. He's a business attorney, criminal defense, and estate planning. You can reach us again at 310-928-7733. If you're at work and don't want anybody to know what you're saying, you can email us here at innerlight, INNER, innerlightradio@yahoo.com. I wanted the attorney to speak on some of the issues that's classified as a felon. Like he explained to me on another show, he was saying if I was sitting someplace and he took my, say, glass of water or my phone, if he just reached over on the desk and got it, that's one thing. But if I'm holding it in my hand, Keith, and he snatched it from me, that takes it to a whole different case. I think that takes it to a felon. And if it's an iPhone, now if they snatch my phone, it probably won't be a felon because I still have the Android.
So do I.
It depends on the Android.
It does.
Yeah.
But something it's simple, make a difference whether you snatch it, whether you take it from someone, or you take it from just sitting in a place. So just talk about how minute things can be that a person can be charged, with a felon. Because people think if you are a felon, you killed somebody, you robbed a store with a gun. I want people to know that a lot of people who are locked out of the workforce, it's because of small things. So can you address that?
Sure. And we've discussed this between you and I, Dr. Rosie. To begin with, a lot of things that people are in prison for are basic mistakes. And there's sometimes mistakes of judgment. There's sometimes timing, heat of passion, that sort of thing. But the difference between a felony and a misdemeanor can be very, very slight. They actually have a whole class of crimes that are called wobblers. And the difference, a wobbler is a crime that can be charged as, a misdemeanor or a felony. Sometimes it depends upon the value of the item taken, and sometimes it depends on the facts of the situation. So each wobbler can be different, and it depends upon the district attorney's office and how they file the crime. They say if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. So the bottom line, a lot of times this is when you have spur of the moment actions, what have you, that or mistakes. So it can a crime can be charged as either a misdemeanor or a felony based upon, number one, the severity of the action. If it's, just as an example, if it's vandalism and I knock down, let's say, knock down something, and it was a spur of the moment. I got angry. I knocked over a table that had some valuables on it, but it might be classified as a misdemeanor. However, if that table had a Ming China vase on it, and it had expensive computers on it, and they were all damaged beyond repair. And the computers on that table ended up they were valued of $20,000. That's possible. It might have been charged as a felony. So sometimes it just depends upon what occurred, the facts, and the value of what happened. So as far as an expungement goes, you can get either misdemeanors or felonies expunged. There are classes of crimes which cannot be removed from your record, which are mostly sexual crimes and crimes involving minors. So those, but we evaluate on a case-by-case basis to determine whether the crime or the conviction actually qualifies to be expunged. And to address your point, Dr. Rosie, a lot of people are concerned about, oh, you're an ex-felon or you're a felon. And yes, you can have a felony on your record for a fight. If I have a fight with somebody and they are even actually beating my behind, and I hit them and they fall and hit their head, that person, and they hit their head and they end up with a severe concussion, they end up in the hospital, I might be charged with a felony. Now, the facts might indicate that I was defending myself, but I ended up getting the better of him for 1 second, and then I may be charged with a felony. Does that mean that I'm a bad person? No, it means that it may mean I have a felony conviction, but that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. Once I get in prison to protect myself, I may end up becoming a tougher person or what have you. However, so the mentality is, oh, you're a felon? No. There are a lot of people with felonies and that have made mistakes, have gotten into bad situations. Many of our kids in the community went for joyriding. And if they were in the wrong car at the wrong time, didn't know that there were guns in the trunk or what have you, they may be in a jackpot situation where they didn't even know it was a stolen car. They had no idea there were guns and drugs in there, and now they're charged with felonies. So it's, like I said, it's a mental thing that we have to overcome.
Well, I'm really happy that. Go ahead.
Question for the attorney. If he could explain, maybe he can talk a little bit about the Proposition 47 that we have in California. About the less than $1,000, I guess, if you steal. Like all these people going and smashing and grabbing, and mobs of people going in 7-Eleven. Like if you steal less than $1,000, I think it's 900 and something. Yeah, you're misdemeanor. Can you go over that explanation?
Well, that's a voter initiative that was passed where they have reduced certain crimes to misdemeanors, and as you know, that there are some jurisdictions, I want to say, that will let's say charge higher. However, the Prop 47, like I said, was a voter initiative. There are a list of crimes that have been reduced from felonies to misdemeanors, and many people have benefited from it. I think that there is, with some of the, as you mentioned, smash and grabs, there are some calls for that even to be recalled. However, I think that a lot of people have benefited from the reduction, and just as an example, there are changes in the laws regarding marijuana. As we know, that has become it's legalized now, and so what was charged before as a felony is no longer, is not even a crime.
Is it retroactive? If someone was charged with something, they reduce it. Can you go back to court now and try to get these people out who were charged? Is it grandfathered?
You can file an application to have it reduced, and I think there may have actually been a I wouldn't say there may be a DA program where that was they tried to go back and reduce some of the convictions for the felonies. So you can make an application, but that also can go into you can apply if it's not part of a DA's program. You can apply for expungement, whether it's felony or misdemeanor. And let me just add that if you have 4 felonies, now that's definitely a mindset that people, I'm recidivist. I've got a number of felonies. Yes, you can still apply to have all of them expunged, unless if they're not in the class that is not allowed. So people can have multiple felonies and multiple charges, I would say, multiple crimes that they can apply to have expunged also.
Well, I want to say to those who are listening, this show is really going to be aired again tonight, I believe around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You can go to MLITeradio.com. It's going to be important that you get your friends on board, get your relatives, get people to understand, because there's so many myths out there in the street about felonies, about the law, about what you can do. So, as my dad always said, go to the horse's mouth if you really want to know the truth. We have too much misinformation going on in our community about what can happen and what will not happen from someone who don't know what they're talking about. And I'm appreciative for Attorney Emil Brown, because we're going to partner up and actually hold some clinics, expungement clinics. We're going to really give people information to try to help get some of these people off the street into the workforce, or into starting their own business, or maybe even back into Big Mama's house. Because if you have a felon, you cannot go to Big Mama's house if she's on getting Section 8.
True, yeah.
And if I may jump in there also, Dr. Rosie, I don't think we discussed that. Even if someone has done prison time, but they have been out of prison for 2 years, they can petition to have their record expunged. You don't, if you're on probation or parole, that you're not eligible yet. However, people who have gone to prison and got out 3 years ago, and for some serious crimes, can appeal to they can petition to have their record expunged. I think that's important to know about.
Yeah, and that's good for the country at large, because we're able to create more productive people in our community. We're able to put more people back to work. You're able to bring more pride to fatherhood, to manhood in general. So I think that is a very good move. But the only thing is, we have to take advantage of it. It doesn't matter what opportunities are available. If the people who need the opportunity don't know about it, then they can't take advantage of it. So that's why it's important for us to spread the word and talk about it at church, every place we go. Do you know somebody, who has a record, who's been locked out of the system? Because a lot of these people, when I hear them talk about the unemployment rate and all of this, they're not counting a third of the people that they don't even know about, who have bailed out 5 years ago and not going to look for a job anymore because they know that barrier because of, incarceration, because of felony. So I can see this as a big thing when we get this news across to the community. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I think it's almost like Juneteenth. Okay, I think that it's a fact that it's not that it doesn't exist. Just like with freedom came, it doesn't exist. It's just people don't know about it. So we're still going by the old system that we believe has been going on for so long, and we don't realize that things have changed. Like the laws have changed. Okay, and the attitude amongst employers have changed because they need people. Okay, you can't have all this large male population not working because they have a record, so they have to figure something out. So like I said, the laws have changed as far as expungement. Laws have changed as far as decriminalizing uh, men's records. Because if they do it for the white boys, they got to do it for us too. So, but I think what I think is that it hasn't penetrated down to black folks that these things are available.
I agree, and I think our community has always been in favor of law and order, not just the show, but I'm talking about we want safe communities, and so when we think about the tons of the thousands and hundreds of thousands of healthy young men or middle-aged men and women who can produce for the world, bottom line. And a lot of times, many of them are sitting in jail or prison because of mistakes that they've made, mistakes in judgment, or mistakes in the legal system. So we can judge others. Judge ye not, lest ye be judged. I realize that the difference between me and someone else with some of the things that I've gone through in life could be the difference between being an attorney, and being a felon.
Yeah, and what's going on right now is they have to turn these ex-felons from tax consumers to taxpayers. Okay, and if they're not working and they can't make a check and they can't pay into the tax system, and they're drained on the tax system because if they're homeless, it takes money. If they're in jail, it takes money. Okay, if they're on probation, this stuff takes money, right? That all has to be paid for out of taxes. So if they can't work and they're in these situations, then they cannot pay into the system to bring down the burden of taxation and debt that the United States is under. So the United States is doing something. It's called enlightened self-interest that the United States is going through right now. So while they're in a giving mood, we might as well take advantage of it. That's the way I see it. What do you think?
That is such an important point. And here's why I think that's such an important point. While we have this law open, I'm not saying that it's not going to be there for the future, but they can turn off that tap if they decide to change the law, because the legislature is at the will of the people, and if they decide we want to change that law, it could stop. I'm not saying it will. However, while we have this open, it's so important to get people out of the felony mindset, the misdemeanor mindset, and get these records expunged, and get as many as we can. It's very, very important and a very timely period in history. We have this law in California. It's not everywhere, but it's in California. So we should take the opportunity. Get your voting rights, get rights back, the whole works.
It's in quite a few states, believe it or not. I think it started in the Northeast, okay, especially like the Boston area and places like that, because like Pennsylvania, Boston, because they have a really, really high fentanyl problem with white men. A lot of white men went to prison for selling and being on this kind of stuff, right? And they have these huge records and have these huge amounts of white men not working. So they had to do something about it. And and the thing is, like you said, why they're in a giving mood, and we are citizens. We have like a Me Too thing. So black folks need to do a Me Too. Okay, you're gonna do it for them, got to do it for us. And like I said, why they're in a giving mood, take advantage of it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And there's also another important point that if they are building more and more prisons, and there are a lot of private prisons. Now, the private prisons are for profit. So that means that they only get profit if they've got customers. And what are customers? Felonies, felons. Now, the numbers bear out that we are a higher percentage of prison population, but numbers, we are not the greater numbers. So there have always been greater numbers, but our percentage has always been high. because of society's ills, because of all the deep things that we've dealt with. We have to get that down. We have to get our numbers down. We have to be a producing society because we can be. We are. We. I mean, when you look at it, we are a working race. We are workers.
We basically helped to build this country. We have really created wealth for the people in the wealth market. But the other thing is, once you get some of these expungement, get these mindsets going the right way, these people be able to get jobs and be able to work, and just maybe then, they can do the work that the corporations are sending to the prison for them to do for free. We can cut down on some of the free labor, some of the slavery type things, because these people now can step up to the plate and say, I can work, I can do that, I can make those license plates, I can sew, I can make these jeans, I can go out there and help put out the fires. Do you realize how many jobs will be waiting for these people once they get them off of that chain fence? Just a thought, every now and then I do think, every now and then I think.
You never stop thinking, Dr. Rosie. But I just want to make a point. And when I talk about the mental shackles and the mental effect, I just think about when I was 14 years old. And my father said, well, you like to buy clothes. If you make XYZ money, I'll match it. Once I started working and was able to buy my own sneakers, my own pants or shirt or what have you, the sense of pride that I got from being able to buy for myself and do for myself is something that I still carry with me. So when you allow our men, our women to earn a decent living, it doesn't have to be, I don't have to be the manager of XYZ. If they can get a job and start buying their own stuff or paying child support, it gives a different mentality. And that's the change that I think we need.
That's big. So many of our people need a second chance. And folks, this is what we're talking about. Expungement is about giving a person a second chance. And we need to spread this. In fact, we need to have an expungement revival. Can we get a tent and put up someplace?
Many a church need it.
You hear me?
Yes. Yeah. And having people praying for our community too. Yes.
Well, look, I think we have another call. Call it. If you're just listening, fine. If you want to chime in, go right ahead and do that.
Caller?
Okay, we're going to move right along.
And Dr. Rosie, can I also, I wanted to I forgot to mention my office in Compton is right on 4 blocks from the courthouse, 663 West Compton Boulevard, 663 West Compton Boulevard, Compton. Phone number's 310-885-3644, 310-885-3644. And I have a satellite office at Dr. Rosie's place.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. We're going to be holding seminars. We're going to help get this community together. You know why?
Yes.
Because my grandchildren need to feel safe when they walk down the street. I need to feel safe when I'm going to the market. It's an investment that we all need to make. It's one of those biblical scriptures says, am I my brother's keeper? I think it's time for we to realize that when we clean up the community, it benefits all of us. It benefits the nation. So it's going to be really important for us to spread this word. A lot of people, they think they're the only person who have a child that's been in trouble or who has a husband or a brother that's in trouble. Folks, it's some trouble in every family. So don't let shame hold you back. I want to repeat that again. Don't let shame block your game. Ooh, that sounds good, huh? Don't
Yes,
let
it does.
shame block your game. And the game is to change your life and get a new start. So get rid of that shame. What you think people don't know? What you think you hiding? They already know.
Yeah.
They already know. So it's time not to worry about what people think, but worry about your future and the future of your own life. There's a whole lot of mothers out there would feel so good and life would be extended if they could see their children get a second chance. Do you realize what weight that is on a parent? Particularly our mother, because they worry more. Folks, we will lift the burden of a lot of grandmothers and mothers in our community if we can help get their offspring onto a new road and give them a second chance. Let's do it. We can do it.
Yeah.
Dr. Rosie, this is.
Go ahead, someone.
Well, no, this is Keith again. I wanted to ask. I wanted to remind you, maybe if it's appropriate, you can mention with the attorney, just across the street from your office, is Bishop. The bishop over there, and the what they're doing in the community. What he's getting ready to do. Maybe he can attend. What you guys can do, put together that workshop. For the community safety. What I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly where, Keith, that is exactly where we plan to start. Attorney Emil and I was talking about that. In fact, we did a Zoom TV talk show out of that, from across the street at Power Love. They have a outstanding, awesome studio. Absolutely. Just great. So we did a live Facebook Live talk show there Sunday. So you're absolutely right. They have parking, and he's always been down for helping the community. So that's exactly what we're looking at, starting at clinic. Hope we see you there, Keith.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, I will be there. Like I said,
okay.
I'm your friendly neighborhood constitutional conservative Republican. I will
And we don't care about none of that because things don't change. Republican, Democrats going to all be down there in the suit line, okay?
Oh, yes. That is true.
When it comes to necessity, we don't care. We play the piano. We play the black and white keys, okay?
And if I can say to our caller, Mr. Keith, let me say this. When it comes to, I have represented people of all colors, races, political leanings, and when it comes down to it, we're all part of the same race. We're all part of the same race, and that's the human race. And I can tell you that to me, the difference between me and anyone else is the choices I make and the opportunities I've had. And there are so many people.
And the grace and mercy of God that have shown around you. Come on, don't y'all leave that out, because a whole lot of folks should. A whole lot of people, only reason they locked up, they didn't get caught. I'm just saying, I ain't talking about nobody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So nobody got nothing.
What I wanted to... I'm sorry, go ahead.
You're a perfect example of what a black man can achieve. I mean, here we are.
Oh, there's no question. And let me say this, that you... There are so many lawyers who have been arrested and convicted, and this is Democrat and Republican. I had a case against a gentleman, and we ended up going into litigation. So I always research my opponents, and when I was looking at his record, the guy had been convicted of a drug crime. Distribution. And I'm saying, wait a minute, how is this guy practicing law? And he was not a black gentleman, and so I'm looking at his record, and he was able to redeem himself, not just with the court, and he didn't get expunged, but at that time, but he also was able to reapply for his license and got his license back. So if an attorney can do it, we can do it as members of the community.
Exactly.
It's important to have that mindset. That's my point.
Attorney, give your information again, so you all don't have to wait for the clinic. You'll be here, and we'll be doing commercials. But go ahead and give him a call because he practiced business law, criminal defense, and estate planning. And you guys know I do estate planning also. If you don't have your house in order, it's time to get it in order. Make sure you have a living trust versus a will. You want to stay out of probate court. So that's important. And if you're over 18, you need to have a power of attorney for someone to make medical decision over you in case you become ill and cannot make decision for yourself. Folks, it is critical that you have those pieces in place for you and your children. So, attorney, give us a closeout. What would you like to leave us with?
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you again, Dr. Rosie, for this venue and for the opportunity to address your listening public. My name is Emil Brown. I'm with the South Bay Law Center at 663 West Compton Boulevard. 663 West Compton Boulevard. I've been in Compton for 16 years because I saw the need for services, legal services in our community. And there are people who come and serve our community, but I am in the community, so I can be reached very easily. I want to just leave you with the fact that I think this is such an important area that at this point I am focusing probably 80% of my attention and resources to drive to this business, to get people educated about the benefits of expungement, and also to allow people to petition and move the court to free us of these felony and misdemeanor convictions and give people a fresh start. I thank you for the opportunity to address your audience, Dr. Rosie. And you are doing such an awesome job serving the community also.
Well, I want the people to know that this is old Harry Tubman up here, y'all. Still trying to take people across that Mason-Dixon line.
If only they knew they weren't slaves. If they knew they weren't slaves, they could be free. Huh?
Absolutely. And we want people to know who they are, where they are. And most of all, I want people to know that wherever you are today, it is no reflection of your tomorrow. I want to repeat that. Wherever you are today, it is truly no reflection of your tomorrow. There's a change for everybody, and we want to see that change come. I want to see the smile back on the mamas and the grandmamas' face. I see the burden, Keith, and the sadness. Mm-hmm. You know, when you have a child you've sent to college, good child make one mistake, and now they can't get a job, or they have to get a job just paying peanuts. Do you realize how that wears on a parent?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to light the community up. Yeah, the whole family is burdened. You're not able to take care of your children. Mm-hmm. You're feeling bad about that. Now you're feeling inadequate. Good wife, but your inadequacy caused the marriage to end because you thinking what you think she should be thinking because you're not working. She didn't say that it was bothering her. It's what's going on in your head. So, folks, we have to restore our family. So, attorney, this is really about restoration. Yeah. This is about restoration time. When we can get this movement going, Keith, we're talking about helping to restore our community, and that's what we are committed to do. So we thank you all. Thank you, Keith. So, Keith got to be one of my fans, my cheerleader. So,
in the spirit of
all right. All right, Frederick Douglass. Okay, you guys, we're going to close out for today. We'll see you next week. We're going to have Mr. Fred Shaw. I believe we're going to talk about some of the different electric shock, what they're how they're treating some of our people, you guys. You guys have no idea what's going on
Okay.
in the dark. But guess what? It's coming to light right here at Express Yourself Hour. But you really want to know what's going on? It's not on Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 6, and Channel 5. It's right here at Express Yourself Hour. You guys have a great day. Attorney, thank you again so much for all the work you do, and we are going to rock this boat, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Rosie.
You guys have a great one.